you still love me. That's weird. I don't even look like me anymore. I want to stand up because Wood was standing up the whole time. Also because I can now stand up, so that's new. Standing up. What else is cool? You ever try that? A lot of people think I'm great on that. Oh, it's just a regular Kit Kat. I thought it was going to be like a... It's not like a Calvert. Who didn't get candy? Who wants candy? Candy! Go! Candy! I'm counting throw! Oh, we got something to done! Yo! Whoa! Anybody in the front row? Come on, somebody can actually throw it anyways? Woo! Whoa! Starters? Alright. Yo! Go on, way back here. Boo! Oh! Oh! Wait, hold on. That's the 10. Watch your faces. I do not want to get sued today. Also, I'm broke now, so you can't get anything anyway. Oh! Stealing. That was so close. All right. Alright, cut me a candy, please. It's from Luke right now. Love it.
Awesome seat, guys.
Everybody comfortable? You got your seat? Everybody that was here only for Wood, have you left officially? Okay, good. Very good. I hate Wood fans. That dude is such a Switch shill. Oh my god. I love Nintendo. Mario's my boyfriend. That's my impression of Wood. Actually, I'll tell you something. Okay, so I guess since Wood was so nice to me, who here does not watch Wood currently? Anybody not watch Wood from Beat 'em Ups? Is there anybody here is not new? Okay, good. If you don't watch Wood on YouTube, start. That dude is the next Markiplier. Record this, put this up on your YouTubes. I'm telling you, that dude is going to be big. He is the nicest person I know. Okay. So, this is my first time in Houston. Who here lives in Texas? I have an important question for you. Why? You do know there are states where it doesn't get to 280 degrees, right? Like you can live in a place where your face doesn't melt. Oh, okay. I was getting off a plane, and our steward, is a male steward is a steward, or what is that? What I mean? Flight attendant. That's the correct word. Okay. Flight attendant. The flight attendant says, "Enjoy a good day. It's 90." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's so hot." And she's. She would have ruined you for that, dude.
Collection plate.
I was gonna do so many nasty things to that bowl.
It's a matching set. We have 3 others, so.
Oh my God, you are so domesticated.
They're really fancy. They're like a YouTuber and all that.
I saw those at Walmart. I know where you got those. So anyway, I was getting off the plane, and the flight attendant saes, "Oh, it's 90 degrees." And I was like, "Oh my God, it's so hot." And she goes, "Sweetheart." Or he says, "Sweetheart, no. It'll hit 115 pretty soon." And I'm like, "All right, I'm never coming back." So, oh yeah, I will tell you this. So I do come to Texas every so often. I come to the Austin Retropalooza all the time. Who here is going to the Austin Retropalooza this year? You ought to come over if you're from Houston. Head on over. Austin show is really, really fun. That said, if you guys could like pay your air conditioning bill, I would really appreciate it. It is hot out there. The very first time I was in Texas, I went to Lubbock, Texas for a Magic the Gathering regional qualifier to try to get on the Pro Tour. And it was the very first one. It was tight, and the closest one was Lubbock, Texas. And I had to stand outside in August, and my scalp sunburned. And I'm not that bald, okay? Like, there's still hair up there, and I was 20 at the time. It literally was melting my hair. I love this state. It's amazing. But the people, everyone I have met, every one of you Texas folks that I've met today has been some of the nicest people I've ever met. So, round of applause for you. I love you guys. Thank you for showing up. So whenever I do one of these, I just like to do the whole Q&A thing, and if it spins me off into some horrible story about my childhood, we'll tell it. I don't care. You can ask me about anything. You can ask about video games. You can ask about life in general. You can ask about, I don't know, any of the life-changing experiences I've had in the last couple of years with the teeth or the weight loss surgery, whatever you're into. But save the really dark stuff for the end. Let's start with some light stuff. Who's got some light questions? Anybody got anything fun and friendly right there?
You're from Arkansas, right?
I am from Fayetteville, Arkansas, which is not like the rest of Arkansas, because here's the thing. When you say Arkansas, if whatever you're imagining when I say the word Arkansas, whatever it is, that's true. If you just imagine two cousins who are in love with each other wrestling a pig on their front lawn, that's happening somewhere in Arkansas. It just isn't happening in northwest Arkansas. Northwest Arkansas is
What
nice.
are they called? Arkansanians? Or?
Arkansan.
Yeah.
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 I'm technically an Arkansan. No, I'm technically a virgin because I'm from Virginia. So technically. I know it's been a couple of years. Anyway, the point that I'm making is, I'm very lonely. Is there anybody in here who would like to spend time with me? I'm dying inside. Thank you very much.
They don't have kittens.
Oh, nice. But do you have a question about Arkansas? I live in northwest Arkansas. Yeah, Arkansans. I live in northwest Arkansas, and I got to tell you something. I think it's the nicest place in the world to live because the weather is not monstrously hot like it is here, so that's an advantage. We're out of Tornado Valley, so we're probably not going to get hit by a tornado. And we have a retro arcade with over 500 games. It's only $5 to play all weekend. And we got a couple local gaming stores where you can play Magic the Gathering. And we are very light on retro gaming, so if somebody wants to come up there and open up a place to sell your collection, we're going to make a fortune because I'm going to buy it, okay? But yeah, I don't know if it's
from there.
do what?
And Bill Clinton's from
Yeah, actually, the very first house the Clintons ever bought is just about 2 miles from my house. It's right near the university campus, and it's a museum now. They call it the Clinton Museum, and they paid cash. They paid $40,000 for a 3-bedroom house right on top of the campus. So take that, millennials. You will never own houses. That's the way it worked back then, suckers. Okay. I know, it's a stupid avocado toast and also the minimum wage, but whatever. Okay. You keep spending your money on video games, nerds. Okay. All right. So, any other cool questions? About all the way to the back, green shirt.
What is your favorite mystery box that you've opened?
What is my favorite mystery box that I've opened? Loot Crate continues to be one of my favorites. I haven't really been promoting Loot Crate over the last couple of months because the last couple of crates has not been great. So I don't know. I feel like maybe they might not have been. I feel like they need to do some course correction before I start promoting them again. But every shirt I own now is from Loot Crate, and it's so funny. I have such a memory of the shirts. Whenever I see a shirt in the room, like these two in the front right here, they're from Loot Crate. It's a great opening line. It's, oh my gosh, I know you. Oh my God, that's Loot Crate. I know that shirt. It's a great way to get to know somebody. I think easily maybe the South Park Loot Crate was my favorite because it had a Clyde the Frog doll, so I got to pretend I was Cartman for a little while. But the best thing in the entire thing was 50 feet of safe space tape. It was one of the funniest things I've ever. So in Northwest Arkansas, my local gaming store is an LGBTQ plus safe zone, and so I jokingly asked him, can we put this up? And he's like, no, it's too on the nose. I'm like, I'm gonna do it anyway. Bastards. Okay, other questions? Let's see what else we got. Who else? Front row.
So you have a pretty cool arcade one-up collection. Is there any game or sub games that you really got the arcade one-up treatment?
I really wish Pac-Man had something other than Pac-Man Plus in it. Why did that not have Super Pac-Man? Why did that not have Miss Pac-Man in it? And I can tell you, licensing. That's what it turned out to be because I asked them. But I really wish, I love Arcade 1-Up, but I love the multi-use machines so much more than I love the 1 or 2. But I will tell you something really interesting. I said this in my review when I came to the Arcade 1-Ups. I have an emulator at home. I don't have a main cabinet, but I have an emulator, a Raspberry Pi. And whenever I open my Raspberry Pi up, I spend an hour looking for a game to play, and I play for 10 minutes. But when I walk up to my Pac-Man machine, I'm going to play Pac-Man. The decision is already made, right? And so that's kind of the advantage to Arcade 1-Up. It's not worth $300 for that advantage, I think, but I really like it because every once in a while I'll just walk by and I'm like, I'm gonna play some Pac-Man. I really want the gold. I really want Golden Axe. They got some of my favorites. I absolutely want a Pac-Man. I do want Miss Pac-Man. They got Gauntlet. They got Rampage. Oh, I know. The Dungeons and Dragons games. There's Dungeons of Mysteria, and then what's the other one? Yeah, put those in that one machine. I would play that. Make that 3 players. Are they? Oh my God. I don't have this kind of money. it's frustrating because like I love this hobby, but we all know you could go broke buying this stuff, and there's only so much room in my house, dude. I had somebody come over to my house the other day, met a friend for the first time, had him come over to play games, and she said, "You're a hoarder." And I'm like, no. There's not like newspapers, there's not like garbage. I'm not keeping expired food. This is magic cards. These magic cards are worth something. And she goes, that's what a hoarder would say.
It's like expired yogurt.
Right, so she picked up a stack of magic cards and she says, well, how much are these worth? And I'm like, well, those are just tokens. They're not worth anything. She's like, then why are you keeping them, hoarder? Well, I have my amiibo collection over here. She's like, what's this on your shelf? I'm like, it's my old teeth. She's like, you kept your old teeth? You are a hoarder. What's wrong with you? I'm like, well, they were mine. I grew them. I'm keeping them. So it turns out I'm a hoarder. But the good thing is magic cards don't take up a lot of space. And I say that knowing that my garage, my dining room, part of my main bedroom, and an entire other bedroom is filled with magic cards. But they don't take up that much space. Eventually, if I ever sell my collection, I'll probably make a profit, I think, but I'm going to be buried with them, just so you know. Question right there.
Remember Wayne's World where he goes, what is the difference between Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man?
What was the answer to that?
A bow.
A bow, that is correct. Do you remember Anita Sarkeesian's video about how Miss Pac-Man was sexist? Do you guys remember that? That's a thing. That sentence, when I hear that sentence, I think to myself, has the world completely lost its mind? But that was a real video. There was a video about how Miss Pac-Man was sexist. And the reason it was sexist is because she was just Pac-Man with a bow. And that she didn't have any defining characteristics other than being Pac-Man with a bow. But then if you ever saw the arcade art, she had some very defining characteristics. So why didn't you play the game first before making that video? I'm so confused by that. Please don't put this online. I'm so tired of getting hated by her friends. Like, I don't like personally dislike Anita or anything like that. You can if you want to. It's fine. Don't worry. A lot of people do. But I do question some of her videos. So that was the weirdest one. Miss Pac-Man is sexist. I still, my brain, I'm a 45-year-old white man, so maybe my brain just doesn't work that way, but I don't get it. But you know what is sexist? Oh, wait, was she saying sexy? She's right, Miss Pac-Man is sexy. We got another question. Maybe off this train of thought for a career suicide. Yes, sir.
Oh, well, what do you feel like with the government banning those loot boxes in games like Call of Duty or Battlefront?
I only have one response to that. I have two responses to that. The first is, the second response is, told you so, you sons of bitches. And here's the thing, okay. Obviously this has been the main talking point for my YouTube career, is how much I hate the way the gaming industry has changed. I still love being able to come to Retropalooza and buy a cartridge and put it into a machine and play the entire game for the sum of money that I paid. I want to live in that world again. This is why I will tell every person in this room that has not bought a copy of the new God of War that you have to, because that is a complete game. It was one of the best games I've ever played. It has no DLC, and Cory Barlog, when I asked him, why didn't you design game DLC for this game? You could have sold a fortune's worth. He goes, because I didn't want to. I wanted to create an old school game. Not online, no DLC, no microtransactions, nothing. I just didn't want to. And so anyway. That said, I was alive when Hillary Clinton and Tipper Gore were trying to ruin the industry the first time by getting everything censored. The same people who were trying to get parental advisory stickers on all of our music was also trying to get violent video games like that horribly bloody Mortal Kombat 3. Could you imagine if you could take a copy of Mortal Kombat 11 back to 1996 and put that in front of Tipper Gore? Her hand would just like, boom, right? She'd be like, well, at least they took the boobs out. So I lived through this once already, and I was furious then. I don't like government intervention. I love small government. If I'm going to pay my taxes, I want it to go to social programs. If I can't go to social programs, I don't want to pay my taxes, right? I certainly don't want it that tax money to have to go to regulating the gaming industry, but the problem is they're proving they're not willing to regulate themselves. And sometimes that just has to happen, right? Like, I hate it. I don't want it to be that way. I don't want them 5 years from now saying, well, no, there's too much blood in Mortal Kombat, and already have a precedence of being able to regulate the industry. I really hope we don't get to that point, but that is the risk these money-grubbing CEOs took when they started monetizing their games in this way. It was only a matter of time, and I told them so. I mean, Francis told them so.
Nintendo seal of approval.
I miss it, dude. I do. I mean, there were some bad games with that seal of approval on it, but there's probably no gambling in it. But who here's played the mobile version of Mario Kart? Has anybody played the demo for it? It's really worrisome. I made a video about this. Nintendo is starting to move into the microtransaction market. And the problem is, when Nintendo does that, they don't really get the future. They don't really get online. So I'm afraid that they're going to misstep here. And when they do, they could set a dangerous precedent that EA's like, well, we're going to do that now because it worked for Nintendo and it made everybody a ton of money. But Mario Kart is designed to be one of those gacha games where you're like unlocking individual characters and individual carts. And then you can obviously pay money to unlock those carts, and then some carts and some characters have innate advantages, even on like certain tracks. Wario's cart has an advantage on Wario's track. So if you don't have Wario's cart when you race on Wario's track, then you're at a disadvantage. But you can pay money to get Wario's cart. That's not a good, that's a dangerous precedent, so I worry about it. Nintendo's moving in that direction right about the time we start making it illegal. So, yeah, pretty much Nintendo, right? So, all right, any other questions? To the left, yeah.
Do you think the video game industry is headed for another crash with what you said, unchecked microtransactions and like CEOs like Todd Howard saying stuff, like despicable things, like it doesn't matter how the game is on launch, it matters how it ends up?
I think that we're in the middle of that crash already, because they spent $100 million on the first Destiny and never made their money back, right? And Anthem, they spent 7 years in development and haven't made their money back, right? And Rockstar launched Red Dead Redemption Online, which admittedly wasn't very good, but it earned next to no money for them, right? And so we're finally at a point where you guys and myself have all decided we're done spending money on this crap. And I say that, but we've all played Fire Emblem Heroes on our phone, and we all really enjoyed it. And also, I spent like $10 on Pocket Camp yesterday, so I feel really bad. But shut up, okay? Because there's a really cool event going on right now, and I needed to get that stupid sofa. Okay, shut up. Right? But I think we're finally at the burnout point. The good news is the industry is too big to fail now. There's always going to be indie creators creating indie stuff. So as long as there's people out there still making good games, we'll still have refuge. What I worry about, I think my biggest concern is this next generation with like Google Stadia. Just out of curiosity, who here is interested in Google Stadia at all? Right? Who here thinks it's a pile of crap? Yeah, right. You know, and so that is quite unfortunately the future of gaming, and we're seeing Xbox move in that direction. And I expect at tomorrow's Xbox conference for them to talk quite a bit about cloud gaming. PlayStation has been testing cloud gaming now for 4 years with PlayStation Now, Now we've got Stadia moving in that direction. If they have their way, it will all be digital. It'll either be digital downloads, right? Or it will be literally cloud computed. And at that point, we can never own our games again. And there's already so many games that are gone forever, right? How many servers did you shut down in this last year for games that I would have loved? And when it comes to stuff like the original EverQuest, the original WoW, you know, we're getting those back in some form, but we'll never get that back. I hate that the industry is creating this unsustainable model where their games are not a piece of art anymore, they are an experience, right? And that experience can disappear the same way a ride at Disneyland can. So, I don't know, that's my biggest concern right now. Let's see, right there.
Have you ever met Sandy?
No, and it's one of my biggest regrets. And I was within a few miles of the guy, but I didn't know how to meet him. That's one of my absolute biggest regrets. Hell of a guy, R.I.P. Let's see, it's over here on the left.
Showing back to say, I don't know about WoW or EverQuest, but I know that Garbage is analyzed. There's actually third-party servers.
Right, yeah, and so people are trying to preserve them as best they can, right? In fact, City of Heroes just got its own couple of servers because someone got the code, which I was never a huge City of Heroes fan. A lot of people were, and watching that game die was heartbreaking for those fans because they were so connected with Heroes, and they did it just for the sake of bringing DC World Online or DC Heroes Online. Did anybody even play that? Because I didn't. Yeah, and it wasn't good. I just watched it get played and I was like, oh, this is not City of Heroes, I don't care. And I think there was so much ill will that they had to shut down City of Heroes to make DC that you were never going to have people play it. But I do love, and that's one of the most important things in the world, and I encourage everyone in this room to get into coding. I encourage everyone in this room to get into game making. Because at the very least, even if you don't have a game inside you, you could help preserve these games in the way that they preserve Dark Age of Camelot, or these World of Warcraft servers, or these other ones. And it's the only way they're going to be preserved. It's the only way it's going to happen. So get to modding and get to coding, guys. You're right there.
So I know you play Magic the Gathering.
Could you tell?
So my question is, do you think there'll be a time where, because I know they have an online server now, the Magic the Gathering online, do you think there will be a time that they won't make paper cards?
Mark Rosewater's talked about that quite a bit, and he says that the online is only ever meant to enhance the physical thing, and there's something about playing Magic in person. Who here has ever played Magic the Gathering? Can I see you raise your hands? Okay. Who didn't raise your hand right now, you are missing out on one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. I've played that game for 25 years. I've invested in a local gaming store. I have a collection worth more than my car. I have cards that are worth more than my car. My car's a piece of crap. But do you guys want to know what my dream car is? You want to talk about that for a second? Okay, so the new Tesla has winged doors, right? So, I want to get a winged door Tesla. It's $80,000. I can't get myself to spend $80,000 on anything. I wouldn't spend $80,000 on $100,000. That's how cheap I am. That said, I want to get a Tesla and I want to kit it out like a Back to the Future DeLorean. And I've already talked to a guy up in Branson, Missouri. The guy owns the car museum up there, and he said for like another $10,000 to $20,000, he could kit it out to make it look like he will replace the headlights and the backlights. And he's like, you know, Tesla, if you do this, they'll make a custom UI for you. He's like, we can put the flux capacitor into it, and like we'll dress you up as like Marty, and you'll just be like, you'll be the coolest dude. I'm like, I'm more like Doc, but whatever, okay, I'm an old man, but okay. But that's my dream car, and I'm going to do it one day. So can I please have $80,000? Thank you. Tesla, please send me one. Okay, now, what was I talking about before that? I forgot. Yeah, so, Magic the Gathering. Everyone I've ever met that is important to me in my life, I met over a game of Magic. You know, my ex-wife excluded, but within 2 days of knowing her, I played my first game of Magic with her. My best friend of 25 years, who's now my roommate, my best friend who's carried me through the surgery recovery and the divorce, he sat down at a diner with his mono green deck with juggernauts, and Llanowar elves, and mana vaults in it. And he says, "Want to play a game of Magic?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Turn 1 Forest, mana vault, tap for Soul Ring, 2 more mana vaults, play 2 juggernauts, go." And I looked at my hand and I had no removal. And I'm like, "Man, your deck is fast." And he goes, "I want to go faster, faster." That's Beavis and Butthead, by the way, for those who, because it was the 90s, you know. And then he's been my best friend ever since. Yeah, go play Magic. It's really good. I forget what the original question was, but go play Magic. But no, I think it will always, because the experience of playing in a local store, they're always going to print physical cards. And the profit margin is still really, really good for them. So I think they're always going to try to design the game to the paper stuff. Like they even just this last week, they released a product that's exclusive to paper that won't come to the digital, the new arena. And I think as long as they're doing stuff like that, it'll keep it alive. So, yeah.
Speaking of Magic, what's your favorite format?
I cube. So if you don't, cubing is when you create your own sealed environment. You basically determine what cards are in a set, and then you draft that set. And if you've never drafted Magic, it's a very challenging thing to do, but it's the best way to play the game is limited. And then you build your own set. And then every Saturday for the last 9 years, I have drafted cube with my friends. And it's, oh my God, it's like heaven. It is. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've thrown a deck across the room a couple times and shouted like Francis, but yeah. So now I can see a lot of glazed eyes over there, so stop talking about Magic. Let's see. Questions. Who I've not asked them all the way to back?
All right, so have you ever heard of something called polymega?
Poly who what?
Oh yeah, okay.
Polygamy?
No, not exactly.
Are you asking me out? What?
No, I mean, maybe, but...
Polymega?
No, polymega. So it is...
What is that?
It'll be at E3, and I highly recommend checking it out.
I will check it out.
So what this thing does is it's sort of like a hybrid emulation FPGA thing, like for playing everything from Nintendo games, Sega Genesis.
Yes, please.
Yeah. PlayStation, Saturn, TurboGrafx. Highly recommend checking it out. I just didn't know if you had ever messed with that or things like analog or anything.
I know that I talk about this at every retro convention we ever go to, and I know this sounds really weird when I say it to you guys, right?
Yeah.
But I've played that game, and if I've played that game, I don't really feel like I can play it anymore. But I beat Super Mario Brothers, so when they give it to me for free on my Switch, I'm like, no, there's new games. I want new. I need new. I don't need better graphics. I don't need current, up-to-date stuff. I just need it to be something I haven't experienced yet. So when it comes to emulation, I only ever really dabble with them. That's why I was glad to get like the Pac-Man machine and the Galaga machine, because you're chasing a high score or something like that. Yeah. But if it's like a game you complete, once I've completed it, throw it away. It's dead to me. Once I was done with Red Dead Redemption, mail it away to anybody else who would enjoy it. Right? That's the only thing I hate about digital games is I can't get my library away. But yeah, that said, I really want that because I've recently been finding myself wanting to play some of my older games. And when I walked through Retropalooza, I used to think I played every NES game, and then I find out I was so wrong.
Yeah.
So I really want to emulate the games because I don't want to pay $50, $100 for something like that. Right there.
I'm going to say something outside of the realm of here, but are you into theoretical physics at all?
Theoretically, I am. I've never physically participated.
Are you familiar with the terminology of it's called where it's
Well, apparently not. Because you ain't even that familiar with it. Okay, here's what I will tell you when it comes to theoretical physics. I think Elon Musk believes in a theory, and he says if computing power ever got powerful enough to create simulations, then this has to be a simulation. Right? Okay. Right. So I genuinely believe we are in some form of the Matrix. Right? And the reason I say this, and you guys may not have experienced the same things I've experienced, right? But my life has been very much like a story. So much that people on the internet, when I tell stories about my life, the last thing my mom ever said to me was, "I'm sorry, I wrecked your life," and we might up. The last thing my ex-wife ever said to me was, "You'll thank me for this one day," right? Like it's like lines out of a movie, right? And the things that have happened to me, like I've prayed and had prayers answered. I met the ghost of my mother. And it sounds like this is stuff I've made up. But no, it's not stuff I've made up. This is stuff I've experienced, and I've experienced it because this can't be real. I don't believe this is real anymore. It's not humanly possible that the universe just began, and then life began on this stupid little rock. And then maybe a God created it, but then we don't really have the answers for that either. But if there's a God creating it, He created a simulation, geniuses. This is how it works, man. So I look forward to the next simulation, and I look forward to partying with you guys there. Maybe Trump won't be president. Any Trump supporters in the room? Get out. Okay, no, it's kidding. I'm kidding. You can be wrong if you want to. Okay. Why am I virtue signaling today? Oh, okay. All right, all the way to the back.
Oh, are you gonna miss GameStop when they're gone?
R.I.P. R.I.P. GameStop. The problem is, I will tell you, there is a business model that would work for GameStop. And why they just won't embrace it, I don't really know. Because used games obviously isn't going to work anymore. Selling digital games doesn't necessarily work. Who here likes going in and buying the collectibles at GameStop? I actually really enjoy shopping collectibles and seeing what's there. And I feel like if they were getting stuff collectible, exclusive collectibles, right? Like if they convinced Nintendo to let them make a $50 Legend of Zelda statue that was as nice as the stuff that you could get in the collector's edition, and it was exclusive at GameStop, I would buy that. Like, I would so buy that. Let me support you, GameStop, please. I don't want you to go away. Do it. Exactly, right? And that's the goal. And I think that if they transition to that, they'll never make the kind of money they were making buying $1 and selling it for $60. I'll never make that kind of money, but they can still make good money. So I'm hoping they'll stick around. But I still go on my GameStop about once a month, and I just peruse a bunch of stuff I don't want to buy, and then I walk out, and I'm like, all right, I can get all this on Amazon for half the price. Thanks. But it is a great way to not meet girls. So that's me. There's no women in my GameStop ever. Next question. Right there.
My question would be, old school game systems didn't have moving parts, and the new ones do, and they tend to break a lot more often. What's your opinion on that?
Wait, what's the question?
The question would be, in the future, would we ever get one that is not going to have moving parts where it will last longer like the old school systems?
I think we're going to get to a point where they're just streaming boxes, and I think that's within the next 10 years, right? Like I think Google Stadia, as much as we hate it, is I'm to be honest with you, I didn't really tell you how I feel about Stadia. I have good enough internet in my house. I have fiber internet to where I will be able to take advantage of Stadia. So I want to like it, especially if it's a subscription model and I'm paying $10 and I get to play Borderlands 3 for $10 instead of 60. I would really, really, really like that. That sounds like a good system. So it really depends on how they do it. But I really think we're going to get to a point where it's just going to be streaming boxes. I think I said this at the beginning of this generation, that the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One would be the last generation of consoles, and it turns out I was wrong. But I'm willing to bet again. I think this will be the last generation of whatever we consider a console, and it'll position in the middle of this one in the next 5 years in the streaming boxes. Yeah. In the back there. And you're next, I promise you.
I think that, I'm just kind of a statement, but I think that if it's under $10, then maybe I'll buy it online. But if it's physical media, then I want to buy it if it's more than $10, because that's an investment, because then we can resell it.
Right. I miss the days when buying a Nintendo cartridge meant you were going to make money off of it at some point. Like, because there's so many like DS titles that just went through the roof. Like you bought it for 40 and you could sell it for 80. I missed that. That was a good system. Please keep doing that, Nintendo. But now I hate myself, but I have officially began to buy almost everything digitally. How many other people are mostly buying digital when it comes to new generation stuff? Yeah. And I'll tell you why, because I don't like getting up to trade the discs. And like when it comes to the Switch, I hate physical Switch because I want to carry my entire library in my pocket. And so the digital version lets me do that without ever having to worry about trading this. Also, my Switch is falling apart. I've been really rude to it. All right, Zelda, sure.
So just to kind of maybe a long question, but judging on the fact that how you feel about digital gaming and how the console industry console last generation, say you're wrong, but what do you think about both Sony and Nintendo kind of going towards a service, as in Microsoft is now they've kind of branched out to like, hey, here's our API for Nintendo, we're now going to provide cloud services.
Right.
And so Xbox is no longer a console, more of an experience.
So, all right. So there's some business models that I like about that and some I don't. I would love to hear what you think. So if you like the business model that that I say, make a noise if you like it, okay? If you hate it, go ahead and boo. I don't care. All right.
I like it.
Let's talk about paying for online, Nintendo Switch Online. How do we feel about it? I'm not getting my money's worth there, right? What about, how do we feel about Xbox Game Pass? Right. So that's the one I like. So EA was one of the first people to do it with their EA Vault system or whatever, their EA Access system. They've begun to realize that subscriptions are the best way to make money. The cable industry knew it for a really long time, and now they're getting in on it. And I think that's when you talk about the newest consoles being experiences, it's going to be getting you to subscribe to stuff, right? So we got PlayStation Now for PlayStation, we got Xbox Game Pass for Xbox, we got Nintendo Online for Nintendo, and I think we're going to pivot into exactly that direction. But there will be a period of time where eventually it's all subscription service-based stuff. And I love it. I love it because I don't have to be a budget gamer anymore, but I will if I can. So I played Void Bastards for free because it was on Xbox Game Pass. And I played 2 other games this last month that I didn't have to pay for, right? And those are games I wasn't going to get a code for as a YouTuber or anything. I was going to contact the company. It was either I was not going to play it or it was on Game Pass. And the fact that they're doing like Sea of Thieves, if you haven't gone back to Sea of Thieves, get it on Game Pass. Spend $10 to get it on Game Pass because it got good. It got okay. It didn't get good, but it got good.
It's fun.
The Game Pass is a great system. So, questions?
I got a question.
Sure.
What if there's like a company like Digital Homicide that, sued people like you and did the same thing like asset flipping? How would you feel if they sued you?
Well, okay, to begin with, I'm not entirely sure I understood the question, but here's what I'll say. Digital Homicide can eat Francis's butt. It's Steam. Oh, God, I'm gonna upset some people. I love you guys. Please don't get mad. Okay. The Epic Store is technically a good thing. I don't like it. I don't like their business practices, but Steam needed competition. And I'm not as mad at asset flippers as I am at Steam for letting them do it.
Steam seal of approval.
Right, that's exactly it. But when Steam said, how many people do we employ? Only 500? Can we get that down to 400 somehow? Is there a way we could just fire 100 people? Oh, just stop checking the games that are on the system, and we'll still make a metric buttload of money? Okay, fire them. I don't know why Steam is run like that. How else can we save money? Do we have any writers? Do we have any game developers? Fire them. Why? Why make games, Steam? But that's the good news, is there's rumblings that we're going to hear something about a game with a 3 in it soon. Whether it's Portal 3 or Left 4 Dead 3 or, God forbid, Half-Life 3. It's never happening. That's more likely, honestly, than Half-Life 3. Like, we'll get a new game and get 3 versions of it before we get Half-Life 3, dude. But, so yeah, at the end of the day, I'm just mad at Steam all the time. And I try not to be too critical of them, because people don't like it, but Steam needs to be called out on their crap, And the biggest, crappiest thing they ever did was stop policing their store. And Epic is doing a very good job of curating, But they wanted me to curate it. They emailed me like, hey, Boogie, we've given you the ability to curate on our website. And you can make a list of games, and you can download the games, and you can play the games, and then make a list. I'm like, do I get the games for free? No. Do I get paid to do this? No. Then I ain't gonna. I did it for like a few months, but then I was like, well, this is a waste of time. But what games are we excited about in this room? I want to gauge some interest. Who's excited for Mario Maker 2? Who's excited for Cyberpunk 2077?
Oh yeah.
Who's excited for
Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Borderlands 3? I got to play it. I got to play it. It was good. It is exactly what you think it is. It is exactly more Borderlands, which is all I wanted. And if Randy Pitchford could keep his foot out of his mouth long enough to get that game out. So I'm going to tell a story that I shouldn't tell. I got to meet Christy Pitchford, which is Randy Pitchford's wife. And it was the weekend I got my new teeth. And I sat with her for a little while and I was like, your husband's been a loose cannon, huh? And she's like, well, a lot of people don't know this. He's on the spectrum. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes more sense, right? And so then when I met Randy, I was like, hey man, why do you tweet the shit you do? Could you not? And then my brain went, hey Boogie, why do you tweet the shit you do? Could you not? And then Randy Pitchford said, hey Boogie, why do you tweet the shit you do? No, he didn't. But here's the thing, Randy Pitchford's actually a really nice guy. And he's a really good guy. And I've talked to a lot of people that work for him, and they love working for him. He runs he's very good to his employees. And here's the best thing I will say about Randy Pitchford. Me and Wood went to eat at Nirvana, just underneath the restaurant just underneath the Gearbox offices. And it was 7 o'clock on a Tuesday, or no, a Thursday. 7 o'clock on a Wednesday. It was a Wednesday. I want to get this right because I'm afraid like Reddit's going to like fact check me. Okay, but no, it was 7 o'clock on a Wednesday. And Christy said, would you like a tour of the Gearbox offices? And I'm like, well, I don't want to disturb anybody that's working. And she says, there's nobody working. 7 o'clock. Everybody goes home at 5. And they're in crunch time. Borderlands 3 is due out in 3 months. And they're going home at 5 o'clock. That ain't happening at Rockstar. That ain't happening at Epic. That ain't happening at NetherRealms. Those people are working around the clock. But Randy sends everybody home at 5 o'clock. Or more importantly, he sends them downstairs to Nirvana where they get deep discounts on their food and drinks. And so when I went there, I got to meet several of the developers from Borderlands because they're just getting drunk on a Wednesday. Because that's what they can do. 7 o'clock, it's time to get drunk. I mean, come on, you play Borderlands. You know they're all alcoholics, right? Come on. It's a surprisingly better game than I expected it to be. And if we could just get Randy Pitchford to not upset the entire media, if you could just have one reporter on your side at some point, that'd be great. Thanks, Randy. He tweeted out kitten abuse. He tweeted out kitten abuse. You can never get mad at my tweets again, okay? Because at least, no matter what stupid crap I tweet, I didn't tweet out a cat getting eaten by a dog, or whatever it was. Okay, question.
The new Call of Duty Modern Warfare is called Modern Warfare. Wasn't there?
Okay, so it's interesting because that was a fun meme for the internet for a while. But there's been several games that have been rebooted. I mentioned one very highly just a minute ago. God of War was a reboot, right? It was technically a sequel, but they rebooted it in name. If Modern Warfare is an actual reboot, I will celebrate it. If it is a reboot that doesn't include microtransactions and an online service and a one little red dot reticle I can spend 300 Call of Duty points on. Okay? If it's an actual reboot and we get a single player campaign and a complete game for under $80, I'll spend $80 on it for a complete game. I'll spend $100 on it for a complete game. If it's an actual turning point for the Call of Duty series, it's an actual turning point for Activision, I will celebrate it. But it won't be. Okay? Activision is going to Activision about the same way Francis is going to bitch. Okay? That's what happens. All the way to the back. How are we doing on time?
Oh, what do you think of figures that have NFC chip in there?
What's the question?
Alright, what do you think of, like, you know, collect the toys in the game thing? And why do you think they're good, you know, dead?
Oh, I'm so mad that my Amiibo collection doesn't work for Mario Maker 2. Because I liked the way it worked in Mario Maker. Because if I had an Amiibo, if I had Golden Mario, then I could put Golden Mario in my level. Then when you played my level and you got the mushroom, then you unlocked Golden Mario. And then you could make a level of Golden Mario. And then somebody else played it, and they would get Golden Mario. That was a good system. And so I complained a lot about Amiibos, and I complained a lot about Toys of Life because it's super expensive, but I also bought every toy. I have every Skylander, I have every Disney Infinity toy, and I also have every Amiibo. So I am the biggest hypocrite in the world, and I just don't mean the fast, okay? That said, I'm so frustrated because Nintendo's just immediately, like, they're just abandoning Amiibo all of a sudden. Why? I spent a lot of money on those, man. Let me use them for something. Just, I don't care what it is. Just give me, like, 100 coins or something. Okay. Do what?
They got all your money out.
Right, but here's the most important thing, and this is what I always said with Toys to Life. When I buy a season pass for $30, all I get is ones and zeros. When I buy an Amiibo for $15, I get a toy. And I get to keep the toy, and I get to look at the toy, and I get to put it in my mouth and see how it tastes. And Bowser is really sharp, so don't do that with Bowser. Okay. All right, so we have all the way to the back, very, very back.
Sure. So do you think that we will see fewer BRs this year at E3?
Fewer VR?
Battle Royale games?
Yeah, I think the genre's pretty much dead. Apex Legends was the death rattle. Which is sad because Apex Legends is a good game and it's the best Battle Royale I've ever played, but the industry's just so saturated that people are tired of it now. I think it's become when Randy Pitchford of all people stood up and said there will be no Borderlands 3 Battle Royale and people cheered. I was like, oh, this is it. We're done. And the worst part about it is, I really want a Borderlands 3 Battle Royale. I would spend so much money on that, please. Could you imagine? Okay, all right, okay. Free to play. Okay. Every character class in any Borderlands game they've ever created, you get to play it. And then only crazy legendary gun drops. So you're getting the ones that shoot hamburgers and elephants, and the gun that screams when you shoot it, and the gun that tells you jokes, and that's it. And then, I don't know, charge me $30 for it. I pay $30 for that, right? Maybe not free to play, just charge me $30 then. How? Please. That would be the Battle Royale I would celebrate. But he's not going to make it! Because the industry's saturated. So. All right, there was another question all the way in the back.
Alright.
2 questions. What is your thought of seeing the latest trailer for Death Stranding? And second, did you enjoy playing Borderlands, the pre-sequel, when it first came out?
Okay, so when I saw the gameplay for Death Stranding, I had a question, and the question was, what?
Yep.
Huh? Because I still don't know what's happening. And then Kojima went to Twitter to explain, and I couldn't understand the tweet. So I'm really looking forward to that game. Because I like new, and that is as new as it gets, because at some point, the little thing on his back was going, wah, 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 and there's like ghosts and vampires and spirits and shit. I'm like, I'm gonna play this game. It's like Luigi's Mansion, if it was designed by Lego. So, alright, I'm gonna play this game. Second question, what was the second part of that question?
Did you enjoy playing Borderlands, the pre-sequel?
Hated it. Hated it. Here's what I didn't like about it. That it exists. I hated the space mechanics. I can't believe not only did you give me an oxygen meter, but then I need to use the oxygen meter to do my pounces and stuff. You messed with gravity. Why? This game is about guns. It's not about platforming gravity crap. Why are you doing this to me? Why do I have to watch how I'm breathing? It's supposed to be fun to kill stuff. It's not fun to run out of breath. This is not fun. And why was that game so preachy? Like, here's the thing. I'm progressive, but do we have to be that on the nose? Do we literally have to have Tor go, women are good? Yes, I know women are good. I've met women, they're great. But do we have to just, is that who wrote that? Who wrote women are good? What voice actor went, women are good? This is good stuff. We're changing the world. There's a bunch of people out there who are going to play this game that didn't know that women were good. I couldn't believe it, yeah. So, I've tried to go back to play it. Don't. Play Borderlands 2. Also, have you heard about the rumors of DLC coming out for Borderlands 2 to bridge the gap?
No.
It's coming out tomorrow already.
Is it tomorrow? Great, right. And then also, can we please get them to hire the original voice actor for the guy from the Telltale series? Can we get, what's his name?
Troy Baker?
Claptrap also, but can we also get Troy Baker hired back? You know, I wish I had known that it wasn't going to be Troy Baker, because I would have yelled at Randy Pitchford when we met him. I'm like, Troy Baker, for whatever reason, is one of my biggest fans. And I don't know if you guys know that, but every time I see him, he runs across the room to glomp me. Okay? And he DMs me all the time. He's just like, oh my God, your progress is so incredible. You're such an inspiration. I'm like, are you trying to send this to Shay Carl or something? Who are you talking to? But he loves me for some reason. And so when I heard Troy Baker was disappointed, it made me not want to play Borderlands. And it makes me sad because I really want to play Borderlands. 80% of why I'm still alive right now is to play Borderlands. 20% is Sammy. You guys don't back your nuggets, darn. All right, blue shirt right here.
What's your opinion on the reboot for Destroy All Humans?
I'm excited for it. I love the original series, and it didn't hold up at all. I feel like going back to play it is bad. So I'm technically interested. I'm hoping they'll get it right, and it looks good so far. So, yep, front row.
If you ever got the chance to get on like a D&D live stream, would you do it?
I had an interesting situation with that. Do you know the story?
No.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan.
So, I love Dungeons & Dragons. Been playing since college. Been playing it since I was 15. It's the first time I played it in Upward Bound. So, I had a friend reach out to me, and she's like, we want you on our D&D competitive sports league, right? And I'm like, what? That's interesting. How are you going to do that? We're going to take sanctioned events, and we're going to run groups through it. Whoever does the best with the sanctioned event, they progress to the next round. And we want to put you on a team, and your team. And I'm like, awesome. And then Wizards of the Coast intervened and said, no, not him. So the guy who sat up here and told you to play Magic the Gathering is on the no-no list for Wizards of the Coast. And they were like, nope, anyone but him, you can't have him. And it's because I am a Nazi. I was trying to hide it, but, you know, Heil, I'm not even joking, I can't. But no, I mean, you guys know, if you followed me for a while, I said some stupid stuff. So Wizards of the Coast is kind of like burnt out on me. And so I would love to play Dungeons & Dragons, but since the company doesn't want me to, I won't. But here's my adventure hook, okay? Here's the campaign I will ever run if I run. Tell me what you think. This is my call to action, or my call to adventure. Okay? You, whatever character you are, you have lived in this city your entire life. And it's a huge walled-in city. No one ever leaves the city. Nobody ever comes in. So you never understood why you had walls. They're like borders. But every once in a while, somebody gets a wild hair up their butts and decides they're going to leave that town. Because they've heard rumors of infinite riches outside of those walls. But for some reason, the people that go out of those walls never come back. So one day you're sitting in a tavern, you and the rest of the party, you're all 120 of you or so, It's going to be a really long game. Okay, but each round is going to take 1 year, but it'll be okay. All right. A guy walks in and he has a bag, and he walks up to the tavern. He walks up to the table in the center of the room, and he opens up the bag, and inside the bag is a bunch of gold, 500 gold. And the gold is engraved with an insignia you've never seen before, so you know it must have come from the outside. And he says, I'm looking for people who will join me. I have been outside these walls, and I have brought this back. Will you join me? Okay. And so the hook is, here's the thing, when you finally get outside of the walls, your city is in a little stasis time bubble that has survived, that we literally wanted to separate ourselves off from the rest of the world. And that time bubble has allowed time to pass a lot slower for you guys. The outside world has progressed into our world, into future technology, then they nuked themselves, and now it's a wasteland. So it's Dungeons & Dragons wasteland version, killing straight up mutant radiated beholders, dude.
There's a Fallout 4 5e supplement.
Is there? Oh my God, I would just lift everything from that, right? And that's the campaign I wrote to run online, and I was going to run like a bunch of my friends through it on Skype, and we were just going to stream that game. And Wizards of the Coast was like, no, you're a problem. So screw them, they can't have my free game, idiots. Okay. See, I think we got time for a couple more lightning round questions. So we got shorter questions. We'll start right here.
Arkansas or Arkansas?
Arkansas. It's our Kansas, though. Toto? Yes?
Any new Marvel movies that you were looking forward to see that you were excited?
Spider-Man Far From Home, which, if you guys don't know this, very minor spoiler, they do not consider Endgame to be the end of this cycle, or the end of the what do you call it? Right? The actual end of the phase is the next Spider-Man movie. So if you're thinking you don't have to see any more Spider-Man, or you don't have to see any more Marvel movies, yes you do, you gotta see this one more, and then you can quit. Okay? Right there.
What's the favorite feud that you had recorded?
My favorite what? Feud? Like feud with like a person?
Yeah, over Twitter.
Ooh. Anthony Fantano called me a chiclet-faced centrist this last week. That was fun. And I'll tell you something interesting about this. So I haven't been in high school for 30 years, and I wasn't good at high school talk then, so I didn't know what to say to the guy. And I was like, personal insults about my teeth? Your argument has no substance. I bet you're real fun at parties, right? And I'm like, okay, how lame is that? I know that's super lame, right? But that's all I could come up with because I'm not good at this, right? So he was like, oh, like you've ever been to a party, fat ass, or whatever, excuse my language. And I was like, well, I'm actually on the invite list for about 583. I don't suppose I'll see you at any of them. So that was my favorite burn. And not only did I respond that to him, but then I quote retweeted him and shared it on my timeline as well because I thought it was so good. And somebody's like, why did you type this twice? I'm like, because it's good, baby. It's good. I'm going to the Fortnite party, and I hate Fortnite, but I like free stuff, and Marshmallow's going to do a concert for free, so right. Okay. E3's wild. So I think that's probably my favorite feud. I always like getting into it with Keemstar, too, because Keemstar is a terrifying sociopath. So it is fun. It is fun when he's mad at you because you don't know if you're just going to wake up dead one day. Over here on the left.
So I know you did a video on it, but how do you feel about Microsoft and Sony partnering up? Do you think more game companies are going to?
It's not a real partnership. It's more of a we have a common interest, so let's work on cloud computing together kind of thing. I think Microsoft is very humbled right now. And Sony, I couldn't be more mad at Sony for censoring games. Is this what we're doing? Is this why we made you the top of the list? So you could censor a butt crack in Devil May Cry? Is this what's happening? Are you afraid of butt cracks? How are you afraid of a butt?
Crack is right.
Okay, but, yeah, crack is whack, you know. But, if anybody has any meth, that's how I lost all the weight, so I like smoking. I don't want to see Microsoft teaming up with Sony. I want to see Microsoft kicking their ass right now. And I'm praying tomorrow that we get, I hope Phil Spencer walks out and he's like, ladies and gentlemen, I know we were supposed to talk about video games today. So here's 10 brand new video games. And then at the end of those trailers he goes, they'll all be premiering on the Xbox 2. I don't know what they're calling it. It's technically the Xbox 2. Which will release in March of 2020, a full year before Sony releases their crack box. And if that happens, I will lose my mind. I will rush the stage and glomp Phil Spencer. That's how excited I am. So I don't know. I don't want them teaming up. I like competition is good. Give me more competition. Green shirt.
Phil Spencer.
If there was a partnership to rival, if Sony, Microsoft did come together, if there was a partnership to rival them, what part?
Epic Store and Steam become best friends. Could you imagine? Oh, that'd be weird. That would be weird. Oh, and we're done. One last question. Front row.
I have a good one. If you were a boss monster in a video game, what would your weak drop be?
Ooh, my God. Herpes. No. I'm gonna go with herpes. Hey guys, so once again, I said this in the last everything I've done in the last couple of years. Let me say this: it's been a really rough couple of years for me, and you guys know this. And the reason I'm still here, and the reason I'm still trucking on, the reason I'm at Retropalooza, the reason I'm still making videos, the reason I'm still on Twitch, is because of you. And I know that, and I realize that, and I came here to specifically, in person, thank you for your love and your support. I'm tearing up a little bit. I could not have survived these last 2 years without you. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. You broke my heart.
Everybody, Boogie will be going to a table for signings, questions, blah, blah, blah. So follow us up to the floor.